So is the Tamron 35 to 150 worth it in 2025? The Tamron 35 to 150 has been a lens that I've owned since it first came out. I was probably one of the first few people to really have it, it seemed, because ever since I started making videos about this lens, whenever I first got it onto my channel, everybody was wondering how did I get it so early and so on and so forth. That it was kind of funny because it really helped out to get a lot of viewership in my channel and awareness of my videos, that it was a great lens to own since the start, and it's something that I've used so much since ever getting it. I've traveled the world with it. I've used it all around into my trips in Europe. I've used it in Mexico. I've used it in Canada. I've used it in New York and around the US and everything like that. That it has been a great investment of a lens to have myself. And after all these years, I've been wondering, is this lens still up to par for 2025? I know I've made a lot of videos regarding this lens, and I know a lot of people tend to ask me a lot of questions about it, so I thought I would share my experience and thoughts when it comes onto this lens, and if it's something that you should get going into 2025. This lens is a great lens for the price point. I think it's about $18.99 or so, and you get an amazing focal range when it comes down to this lens. You have 35 at f2, and as you increment to the 150, it goes up to the 2.8. So you get a lot of really great bokeh and everything for low light capabilities at 35 with the f2. And as you get to the 50, it's like a 2.2, at 70 is like 2.5. And then once you go a little bit above that, it goes to the 2.8 all the way throughout to the 150. And most people tend to want to have a good 2.8 lens minimum so they can have better low light capabilities when it comes down to video and photo. So this lens is just, got you covered on that for going into 2025. A lot of these new camera bodies that are coming out, whether it's like the A7 IV, A7C Mark II, A7S III, and so on, that have been out for even a little bit already, work flawlessly with this lens. I think having great aperture with the f2 at 35 millimeters, it looks really great. It's a great amount of bokeh that you would want to have. That I even sold my 35 millimeter Sigma 1.4 lens because the difference in bokeh wasn't really significant to me, and I didn't want to have to be able to go ahead and change lenses all the time. That, to be honest, it was just a prime lens within itself, despite having the zoom range capabilities. And that's something that I think most people will enjoy in a lens, even in 2025, despite of this lens being out for quite a while. Sure, Tamron can probably come out with a new version of it. Could it be better or something? It could be. We won't know. I personally don't know. They haven't told me any details. As much as I've worked with Tamron for certain videos and borrowing their lenses nicely, they haven't really told me anything when it comes down to, what they're planning to do with the new version, I guess, of the 35 to 150, if it's coming out. Something that I don't know, but I'm hopeful for it because at the end of the day, I know they came out with the new version of the 28 to 75 and would be kind of ideal to, I guess as well the 7180 now that I remember. So it'd be kind of ideal to have a new updated version, which who knows what they'll add to it or what they can take away or what they're going to plan to do. But we got to focus on what we can. This lens now into 2025 because it's already available if you're looking for it. I think with the customization of buttons that it has the 1, 2, and 3 down here that you can assign within your camera and within, I guess, the app that like Tamron has to when you connect it to your computer to route whatever you need to for it. You have your custom 1, 2, and 3 buttons of like basically to set it up how you want to as well for other types of stuff, and your autofocus and manual focus. So you're not going to be missing out on any technology yet of this lens. The only thing that I feel like they could do better and they could come out with, I guess, would be that they add vibration compensation like they did with their 7180, but I don't know if they'll be able to do it and keep the same body or if they would have to make it a little bit bigger or what they would do within the lens itself, since it's already, I know, a little bit of a big lens, but despite the size of this lens, I think it's the perfect choice to bring with you to the new year. I think you'll be able to capture great videos and photos because I myself have been able to capture great videos and photos that it would just make so much sense to have if you want to have a one lens setup stuff for your content creation, for client work, or for yourself when it comes down to portraits, videos, or anything of the sort, despite the size of it. And the reason why I talk about the size a lot is because that's the main concern for most people. But for myself, even having it on that, my A7 IV with the kind of grip and everything has been nice. I use it with my A7C Mark II when I was in New York, going around the city, walking a lot and taking photos and using it for everything that I needed to, that it still felt great with a smaller camera like the A7C Mark II, but I did add the base plate of it to make it nicer on my hand. But I was able to use it for hours upon hours throughout the day and had no issues. Sure, if you're walking a lot, it might get a little bit tiring, but overall, it's still very useful. I mean, I used it a lot in Europe and you have to walk almost everywhere over there, and I didn't have any issues, and it really speaks for the results that you get out of it with all the photos and videos that you can capture with this lens, that it's worth it for me to be able to get this size of lens to get that focal range that you have. If you're looking to have a lens that can do somewhat everything, because I know a lot of people would prefer maybe a little bit wider range, since I know the Sigma has a 28-105 f2.8, but for me, 35 is kind of my sweet spot anyway when it comes down to photos. So having a 35 to f2 is just pretty amazing to have within this one lens, and then get to the 150 range to have a telephoto range. A lot of people love their 70-200 or the 7180 by Tamron, that getting to at least a 150 within one lens from 35 is quite nice. I mean, if you shoot with a 70-200 or half before, you know how big those lenses are anyway. So if you're wanting to give up a little bit of that extra range, you can go ahead and get a 35-150 that's about the same size of a 70-200 from what I remember at least, but even if it's a little bit off, you still get more range than a 70-200. So that's just me, I guess, but my personal choice is I would prefer having that 35 range to the 150. So the ultimate question will be, is this lens great for 2025 if you're wanting to get it? Yes, of course, every lens out there, to be honest, even though they've been out for a couple of years, will work out pretty great, because the technology within the lens itself, it works flawlessly in the moments while they're creating their new cameras anyway, that despite of them bringing out newer and faster cameras, it'll still be fine. So if you get eventually the A7 IV whenever it comes out, or the A7R6 eventually when it comes out, or if the new A9 Mark II comes out as it's rumored to come out, you'll still have a great lens to pair up with your Sony camera for full frame. You can use this, I guess, for APS-C if you really want to, and if you want to have more range, obviously you just have to multiply it by the 1.5 that it is, so you'll have more. But I mean, it's an APS-C body, so it is what it is, but it's your choice. But at the end of the day, I think that this would be a great lens in 2025, despite of how long it's been out already, because I think it came out in 2021, give or take, in October or so. That's when I remember getting it, to my knowledge. You'll be fine. And it's a great investment of a lens. Obviously, maybe the price is getting a little bit, I don't want to say outdated, because obviously you're still getting a lens that has a lot, but it would be nice to see that if you can get it in either use at a good price or on sale if they come up with another sale again, because I know Tamron tends to do relatively often where they do like $150 to $200 off from their lenses. I would jump on it because it's going to be a great lens for you to use for any project that you want to use, whether it's photos or videos. It does great in both, and you get a great range. So my personal experience and my personal opinion on it will be that I think it's a worth lens to have in 2025, especially just by the focal range that you can get with the aperture, with the price point. I don't think you can go wrong. So if you have been hesitating to get it, I recommend it because it's worked for me for so many projects and so many great photos and videos that I cannot, highly recommend it enough. And there's a reason why I've done enough videos about this lens so much over the years that hopefully if you have any hesitations, go find them. You'll probably can see a little bit of what I've done with it, and maybe it'll help you out with your decision to get it. But now I just want to leave you the question to know if this is a lens that you're wanting to get into 2025. Do you think it's a great lens for the bang for your buck with the specs and the size and the focal range, the aperture, or do you think you would just prefer giving up the size and going for something else? Leave a comment down below to share your thoughts when it comes down to what lens you prefer to go into 2025 and get into, or if this is going to be on your list. So let me know down below. But that's it and done, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.